Have you followed Google's Google and NBC News, the recent
No. Okay.
kerfluffle about the Federalist?
Oh, I
No?
mean, I paid attention to the Federalist, so they yanked the ads from the Federalist and Zero Hedge,
Yeah,
I think, last week, and
Zero Hedge.
they said that they were going to hold the Federalist accountable for comments, even the comment
Yeah,
section, which is rich coming from the company that owns YouTube.
yeah.
They're going to hold them responsible for the comments section. I don't know how. I mean, hypocrisy is
Rules. It's
obvious.
like
Is there
rules
a
for
development
thee,
there?
but not
Or?
for me. No, I mean it's just another story that we haven't covered yet of the continuing progression of censorship from big social.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's got to the point where it's not even a blip on the radar because we're so used to it now. We've become desensitized to it where this huge corporation, evil corporation, is like, okay, we're going to push the censorship forward just a little bit more. And now we're going to start censoring the Federalist, which is nothing extreme on the Federalist. It's right wing, it's not extreme.
I wouldn't
And
even
then
call it
like,
right wing all the
it's
time.
not even
Like,
right wing, it's like conservative, but like,
sort of
anyway.
libertarian-ish sometimes. Like, yeah, totally. It's not. They're not talking about like censoring a Nazi publication or anything.
Yeah,
It's yeah. It's
that's what's
not.
crazy about it. And we're cool with that. And then there's like legacy media journalists tweeting about it and celebrating it and saying they're calling out hate. They're censoring hate. And they're
That's
censoring.
because the Federalist is taking over their circulation. Like people read the Federalist rather than the Washington Post. Like they love it because they're just celebrating the downfall of their enemies. That's all.
Yeah,
Right?
it's just
Yeah,
disgusting. We've gotten so inured to it and just used to it. And
we have.
I'm ready for people to, all these people, we talked about this early on back when after Trump won, you see all these people from the left who are hitting the streets like hashtag the resistance. And at the time I was thinking, what are you resisting? You're not resisting you're not the resistance. You're for the status quo. You're for the mainstream culture. That's what you're for. You're resisting one politician that you don't like becoming president. One, but all of culture, all of academia, all of the social media companies agree with you. How are you the resistance? You are the status quo. And now we're really seeing that come into fruition. Now that this my old belief system has become so dominant culturally, I've seen people pointing out. I think Melissa Chen was one of the ones maybe it was Melissa Chen pointed out that you are not resisting anything. You are not uh, the pushback. You are not the rebels. When every major corporation is speaking what you're speaking, all the churches are starting to fall in line. All of entertainment, social media companies, everyone, the whole politicians, the ones on the left definitely speaking your ideology, and many on the right just too afraid to push back against it. So you guys you're nothing. You are the face of insipid status quo.
Of course they are.
Like,
Of course they are. And actually, the fact that they're resisting quote hashtag resist, that the fact that it's aimed at Trump, it should tell you everything that you need to know. It's not about. Okay, we have a lot of new people to this show. Let's back up a little bit. I hadn't voted for 20 years, maybe, until I did vote for Trump in the 2016 election. But I'm going to tell you why. I haven't voted because I don't believe in either party. I was much more of a libertarian for most of that time, and then eventually a voluntarist, which is like libertarian squared, I guess, to some people. But I didn't vote, and I didn't vote because I didn't want to legitimize either party. And I recognized that they were both basically evil, doing the same thing, getting us into wars that we didn't belong in. One used different language than the other, but the policies that they passed were basically the same. The Republicans didn't conserve anything. And what they did conserve was stuff that I didn't agree with, like they fought against gay marriage, which I was for. So, I didn't vote for anyone. I didn't want to legitimize the system. And by the way, that's a position that a lot of libertarian-leaning people, small government people, take because they don't want to legitimize the system. They think not voting is the right thing to do. We can get into that later. But I voted for Trump not because of his politics, not because of his policies, but because he made it very clear what he was fighting. He was fighting a cultural war. He's fighting the cultural war, and his enemy is the media, right? His enemy is that the cathedral. His enemy is that he was the only candidate to stand up on principle against social justice crap. Now, he's not very articulate with respect to, he's like a bull in a china shop. He's not, I would much rather have Jordan Peterson sit across the sofa in an interview and explain to everyone on CNN why social justice is crap. But at least he's knocking tables over and breaking China and pissing off the right people. You can tell.
You don't get to choose sometimes the vessel.
That's right. And the established and this is the other thing, the establishment Republicans hated him because he's not a Republican. And again, I don't agree with a lot of his policies. I really don't. However, he was the sledgehammer that I think a lot of people felt we needed to just attack this growing, you call it insipid. It's an insipid pseudo-Marxism, which is just seeped into everything. And he's bashed. Sometimes he hits good people when he bashes with his sledgehammer, and sometimes he swings and misses, but he's generally pointed in the right direction.
He's a blunt instrument.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I have a little aside here for anyone who doesn't follow. I'm not going to give you my whole background, but I'm a little different than Carter. I'm a lifelong Democrat. Up until 2018 was the first year I voted for a Republican. But I was a social justice warrior for 20 years. And I was one of those people that cried the night Trump won. So, there's some people who, and now I kind of think that's funny, but I do have empathy for people who did cry that night, because I did, and I was terrified. So we come from different perspectives. But hey, here's something about Trump that you're making me think of. I'm also a pretty new Christian, and Carter's an atheist, but he humors me once in a while. This verse made me think of Trump when I read it a couple months ago. But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise.
That's a great
God
quote.
chose what is God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world, even things that are not, to bring to nothing things that are, so that no human being might boast in the presence of God. I love that verse.
Well, I mean, think about Trump, right? He's like a reality TV. Yeah. He's like a gaudy reality TV dude he's the one exposing the media.
Yeah, he's the one. And it kind of helped me understand that. And you don't have to be a Christian to maybe get some value from that. I mean, to think that people... So first of all, ideas and ideology, I think of as like a living thing, right? It possesses people. Like, Marx is dead, but Marx's ideas live on, and they evolve and grow and change. And now they are currently, there's this SJW belief system is this social justice stuff. It's basically a form of Marxism that has evolved to be about power and identity. And you can believe, like I do, that people can be tools of an ideology. They can be possessed by an ideology. And if you're a Christian, you can view that in maybe a positive way. You can be a tool of God without being a perfect vessel or a perfect tool, and without even being a Christian. I believe God uses all kinds of people.
Well, certainly I believe lots of people are tools.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I had to say it.
Yes. Anyway, thanks for humoring me with that.
No, Carrie, this is that was a great segue to a super chat that Blackbeard had. Thank you, Blackbeard. He says, I'm honestly starting to believe this ideology is a mind virus that downloads itself and destroys your ability to use logic and reason. You're believing that, Blackbeard, because it is a mind virus that downloads itself and destroys your ability to use logic and reason. That's exactly what it is. It does that. Exactly. It's necessary for propagation to disable the defense mechanism of the host, and reason and logic are the primary defense mechanisms of a rational mind, so they've got to be disabled. But yeah, I mean, I just look, this wasn't I didn't mean to like rant it's not a pro-Trump rant, but I do want to say, like, for me, this has never been about politics. This is about culture. This is about philosophy. And I don't have a problem with people who hate Trump and won't vote for Trump. Like, I get it. I don't like a lot about Trump either. We have a difference of opinion maybe on tactics for what to move forward. I mean, some people we have fundamental differences of opinions morally.